The button. So, yeah, podcast, yay.
Yay, I'm coming to you from a brand new mic.
Yeah, we can hear him. Wow, that actually kind of picked the levels on this side. I'm going to turn you down a little bit. Oh, that might be the reason. You're at 200% again. Okay, let's just...
Yeah, you can turn me back down.
Yeah, we're going to fix that now. There we go. Yeah. I'm going to normalize levels afterwards anyway, so it's fine. Casey's actually doing editing stuff on the audio side. It's weird. Did anyone notice of our like 40 listeners that I've started truncating the silence so it actually flows like a conversation and there are no 8-second pauses?
It's great.
Yeah, it's almost like we're having like good charismatic people conversations where no one just sort of leaves an empty silence like I do all the time.
You know, that's okay. We're only just, having an entire audio conversation.
Yeah, it's okay. So,
yeah.
I never saw it coming, you could say, that the Persona 5 Gacha game came out. I saw that coming. I knew about that well in advance and, saw the preview stuff and all that stuff. What I didn't see coming was that it's actually really fucking good.
Really?
Yeah, it's really good. Oh. Yeah, so there is now a Persona 5 gacha. It is called Persona 5 The Phantom X. It's a really dumb name, but it's okay. And I'm not sure how much I want to talk about the plot. No, fuck it, I'll talk about the plot. It's fine.
Okay.
What it is in the first 5 minutes of the game, you're playing through the casino intro again. And towards the end of it, new protagonist shows up and shoots Joker in the face.
What?
And then sort of we do that thing where it's like, oh, that's a flash forward, and we're going back to where it all started, except we're not. That is entirely diegetic. That is in the story. The protagonist saw that vision too. And from then on, we get the impression that we're sort of in Persona 5, but an alternate Persona 5, where things are sort of not going in the way they're supposed to, maybe? I don't think they have revealed this at all. I've finished the first palace because it still works in palaces, and they haven't really explored how weird this is for what it's doing at the start. But it's basically, yeah, it's Persona 5. You're not at Shujin, you're at a different school, you're a different character with a different cast. And what's going on in this game is instead of certain people having overwhelming and twisted desires that are just being bastards, it's more like everyone is having their desires sucked out of them. It's almost like apathy syndrome from 3, kind of, where people just sort of shut down, give up on life, and do the things people might consider when they give up on life. There is a scene of someone attempting to do so very early on. And then you meet your mascot buddy, who is an improvement on Morgana in every conceivable way. It's night and day. He is fun. He is goofy. He tries very hard to sound smart, but also just kind of speaks in an archaic dialect, so just naturally sounds smart using words people don't understand. And is just endlessly positive about the idea of people going towards their dreams. And that's just a really nice character to have, compared to Morgana, who talks shit to everyone for the first half of the game and then complains when people start talking shit to him the same way in the second half of the game. Thing about Morgana is once you've done that plot point of him being an asshole, you go back to the beginning and realize how much of an asshole he was at the very start, and it's just Anyway, so that is the basic conceit of the narrative, and there are these few people who sort of had their desires, their dreams ruined, and react to it in a bad way, and just sort of start taking that out on everyone around them. And these people are called menaces in English and phantoms in Japanese, which I feel like is a localization fuck up, maybe. Like they should have just left it as phantoms, because that way the protagonists are phantom thieves, as in thieves who steal from phantoms, which is a nice play on it. I thought that would have been really cool, but they kind of just botched that by changing the description. And the way the gacha system works narratively is the protagonist sort of summons alternate versions of people he knows or people who exist in the original Persona 5, obviously, because, you know, you got to have the tie-in characters. And just kind of how he would imagine certain characters if they were Phantom Thieves and had personas. Like, there is a bored housewife that lives in his neighborhood who is just sort of trying to get down with the youths. And her Phantom Thief persona is a gyaru girl, you know, the tan and the blonde hair and everything, talking in, like, outdated slang and shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's basically how you get your gacha characters alongside the main cast of, like, actual thieves that are real people that hang out with you. It plays a little close to some of the stuff in Persona 5, I will say that much. It doesn't just do it beat for beat. There's some things it does kind of do beat for beat. But I enjoy what it's doing, even if I can very definitely see what it's trying to imitate. And it's just sort of iterating on a thing that's already happened in Persona 5. But it's a good and interesting iteration, is what I'll say for that. Gameplay-wise, it is Persona 5. In terms of, like, going through palaces and sneaking up on shadows and all that stuff and everything, and doing mementos and tunnels, and there are some minor twists on that sort of stuff, but it's mostly just like Persona 5, which, you know, it's still more Persona 5, so I'm kind of okay with that. In terms of battle mechanics, it is kind of interesting, the things that they've decided to do and change. Like, I don't want to get too into the weeds on it, but the protagonist can only have 3 personas, so you can't just, you know, have a billion of them. You can only have 3 of them at a time. And it's sort of, I'm trying to think how to explain it. It's definitely a scaled down version of the RPG mechanics of, like, the main games, where you get, you know, your party members will start off with fucking Aji, and then they'll get an upgrade in its, you know, Maraji, and then Aji Lao for the upgraded version, hit for a single target, and then Marajion for the multi-target upgraded version, all that stuff. And it just kind of does away with all that and just changes it to characters will get 3 or 4 moves, and they will have a very specific kit idea for those moves and how they work and how they can interact with other party members. So in that way, it is simplified, but also complicated in terms of team dynamics. So, you know, since it's a gacha, the team is more important than min-maxing a particular character, right?
Okay. So it's more about, like, the team building than the persona fusing and all that.
Yeah, kind of. Like, for example, Joker, as he's in this game, obviously he's like the first limited character. His thing is constantly doing more and more moves. Like, just, he constantly gets extra actions that he can do, and that drains the fuck out of your SP. But then you have Morgana, who in this has the ability to restore someone's SP. So you pair those two together, and that's a good synergy of like their abilities, so that they can work well together. And that's the kind of dynamic that it goes for. It gives you recommended teams of, hey, this person does this and has the drawback of this. So if you supplement them with this, who can do this, then it works together and it meshes well, kind of thing. And it gives you recommendations on that sort of stuff, which is appreciated because it's a little. You got to read some fucking skill descriptions to understand what's going on in some of this stuff. You know, a little bit Zenless Zone Zero, only it's not like 1,500 words of skill descriptions, Yishuan.
I still understand how she works.
Here's how she works. You press Y until your energy is expended, and then you press Y as soon as you get more. And you just keep doing that until the little meter on the left is filled. And then you wait until the enemy is stunned, and then you hit ultimate twice. That's how that works. It's a lot less complicated when you just dilate it down to here's how you fucking play the character. But, you know,
I just hit the buttons.
Yeah. Yeah, so because it's a Persona game, you've got to have the city life stuff of just, hey, you got certain amounts of things you can do in a day, and you need to keep an eye on that because time is it's not. Like, the one thing I really appreciate about this, like the nature of this being a gacha, having to change some things with how Persona works, time is not limited, but your resources per real-time day are. So you can do everything. It will just take time, actual time. So you don't have to min-max exactly what you want to do every single day. You just kind of figure out what you want to accomplish right now, and then other stuff can wait in the future. And that's fine. And I really appreciate that, because as a completionist, the whole having to check a fucking guide to make sure I can get everything done in one run, I don't really appreciate that part of Persona. Just gonna be perfectly honest. That is a little bit of a nightmare for me in particular. I can understand people enjoying it and doing it naturally, freeballing it and just going, hey, yeah, okay, I've got so much time, I feel like doing this today, and just running with it and playing that way. Good for you. I can't. I brain does not work that way. I don't want to. I want to get everything. I want to do I bought this fucking game. I want to see everything. So
when I first played Persona 5, I was like, I'm not going to get everything the first playthrough. So I'm going to play through it, get all my stats and stuff and everything up, and then I can do everything on the second playthrough.
That bitch is 70 hours. I'm not playing it twice.
I played it much faster the second time.
Granted, yeah.
And with...
You need to have a bit more patience, Casey.
70 hours is a lot of fucking patience.
With Persona 3 Reload, though, like, they loosened that up enough that I went in guideless and still had a couple empty weeks.
But yeah, so the way it works is a lot of the simple stuff, crafting thief tools, doesn't take time.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
good.
Why would it? Like, just fucking let you get the things that you need to do the fucking dungeons. Let you play the game part of the game. It's fine.
That was always a weird one in 5.
Well, up to your proficiency, so you know that counts as
yeah.
It doesn't quite work like that in this. Crafting a thief tool for the first time increases your proficiency, but after that, it's just you're making things. That's it. It's fine. Same with plants, because there's a gardening mechanic in this where you can make your own food to do certain effects. And every time you grow a plant for the first time, it ups your kindness by a point. But likewise, that also technically doesn't take time. Because the way that works is you plant the thing, and then it will tell you how long it will take to grow. And what it means by how long it will take to grow is how many actions you will have to take, city life actions you will have to take before the plant will be fully grown. And each action takes 0.2 of a day, because you get 5 every day.
Okay.
So that just sort of cycles through, and you have to keep an eye on it while you're doing other stuff. And that's a neat way to do it, of just like not letting you constantly get everything you could possibly need. And aside from that, for the actual city life actions, you've got your usual stuff. You can work part-time jobs. You can do certain things to get your social stats up, which will open new. I think they're called accomplices in this. Social links.
Yeah.
And those require you to get social stats up higher as you go through the game. As you get higher levels of it, you need higher level social stats, and all of that stuff. And that is just, you get 5 actions per day, or 6 if you get certain upgrades. And that just goes forever until you stop playing, I guess. And honestly, as systems go, I appreciate that. It is a reason to keep coming back and limit your progress in a way that doesn't feel too obtrusive. It's using the calendar system in a way that very much fits to the mold of a gacha game. Of like, hey, we want you to keep coming back and playing for 20 minutes a day. That's fine. And you get new content as it's constantly drip fed through constantly playing. Almost feels more immersive that way. So that's all cool. I really love the characters. Like, I have gushed over the owl, who is cool and adorable, and I love him so much. Just the rest of the cast are great too. Just you don't really get your typical bro character in the game that they usually start you off with. Your Junpei, your Yosuke.
Oh, that's interesting.
Your Ryuji. Instead, it's the first character you get is a girl who kind of also plays the bro character a little bit because she's a tomboy who was a baseball player.
Okay, that's selling me on it.
Yeah, she is the best. I love her. It's like they took a second run at Chie, mixed her a little bit with An, and just it's great. I love her. She's fantastic. And I have only started the second palace, so I have just gotten my second character, who is sort of like a softened Ryuji with a very Japanese/Chinese interest of, hey, we're going to make traditional food in a certain way, and that way we're going to make the punk character likable to Eastern audiences. A little bit is what it feels like they're going for there. But they pull it off. He is a very interesting and kind of sweet character. He's just, he tries so very hard. And it's
very, very genuine.
Yeah.
It seems.
Yeah, and that's all cool. I look forward to continuing to play this game. It is very good. I admit I was fully skeptic on this being any good because it's a branded Chinese knockoff gacha game. Like, come on, we have seen so many of these. Like, you can't really fault the Hoyoverse games for being that, because they're not that. They are legit just games that they are making their way, that have nothing to do with anyone else.
Yeah.
But you get your fucking all of the other ones that just get shoveled out on a regular basis of just branded tat that just doesn't play well, doesn't have a gameplay system, is just garbage. Like the Jujutsu Kaisen one was just, oh god. Hey, let's release a fucking game that plays almost exactly like Fate Grand Order in 2024. But that gameplay system is stale and outdated. We'll just put a fucking anime property on it and it'll be fine. Is pretty much how that worked. I'm still kind of annoyed about that one. But yeah, you get so many of these just kind of tossed out, and it's nothing, and it feels like there's no effort put behind it. This one, there is some genuine effort and dedication to doing something cool here, and playing pretty damn close with what Persona 5 actually is. Sometimes a little too close, but pulling it off just on a consistent basis. I really appreciate what they've done with this game, and I think it's great. Selling is a little bit aggressive. Like, it's the Hoyoverse gacha system, only slightly more generous, so it's 0.8% instead of 0.6, and it's 80 for pity instead of 90. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same. But they do that thing where if you get a 5-star character, you'll get a pop-up that says, hey, you just got a 5-star character. How about you pay a little extra money and we make that 5-star character even stronger? Huh? How's that sound? It sounds like a shitty deal, because I know how these games work, but, that's kind of... It's a little pushy on that front, but, if you can stomach that, which is understandable if you can't, then there is a very good game here that is worth playing, in my opinion. So
That's a pretty glowing review. I'm actually a little surprised by that.
I did not think I would enjoy it this much, but it is just really good.
It's interesting and I suppose reassuring to hear that another game branded with the Phantom Thieves has transcended expectations and turned out well. However, just for the fact that you can't play through the complete story yet, that it's just endless at the moment, yeah, no, it's still not enough to make me partake.
Well, there are 2 palaces in the game. There are, according to the story itself, like they say this diegetically, it's in the game. There are 7. And it's a gotcha, so if it keeps doing well, then there'll probably be fucking more. Because that's how that works.
I mean,
But,
like
yeah.
FGOs had multiple parts,
Yeah. I mean, if like I say, if they keep coming up with good stories that are worth paying attention to, then I don't have a problem with it. FGO. It's kind of how that works.
This is just if I'm going to sink this much time and energy into a game, I'm hoping that there will be a climactic conclusion waiting for me. If I'm delving into this, well, it's basically the same risky run of picking up a fan fiction that's really good and is still ongoing with a lot of plot left to cover. You risk it running out of steam and dead ending.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to take that risk.
Fair enough. Personally, I don't mind stories that don't reach their ending. I appreciate just going on the journey in general. Like that is something I have had to learn from reading fanfiction in exactly the way that you just described. Like, I still have fond memories of a lot of stories that I never saw the end to, and that's okay. I can live with that.
Yes, can I?
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do get it. Like, just to sidestep a little bit, I am so glad I stopped playing FGO. Like, everything I've heard about the story after the point where I stopped is.
I have friends who are getting back into it and are like kind of encouraging me to pick up the story again. I don't know where it goes because I stopped before the South America Lost Belt.
So did I. So, would you like me to give you just the bare bones?
Bare bones, no need to go into any spoilers.
Okay. So, the 7th Lost Belt is not an ending.
Yeah, I knew that much from just the fact that there's still game happening.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it's not an ending in terms of you don't actually solve the problem. Like part 1 ended and the problem was solved and everything just kind of went back to normal. And people were able to live their lives again.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen in part 2 at all. The main problem has not been solved. Also, the arc for 2.5 is that you are considered inhuman for the things that you have accomplished, i.e. saving the world twice. Well, once and a bit. And so now the spirit of humanity demands that you make recompense for using the extra classes that you are not supposed to have access to.
Okay.
Because that was apparently a bug in the system. You weren't supposed to be able to do that, and now you are being punished for doing that in order to save the world.
I mean, that sounds like that could be compelling. Given that, like, traditionally the extra classes are, like, forbidden for pretty decent reason, being like, oh, well, here's Avenger. It mucks up the Holy Grail and contaminates everything. Um,
Yeah.
which,
Uh,
like,
yeah.
I can kind of see where they're coming from.
Kind of. Hey, Spirit of Humanity, how many humans are left?
Well, I think it's something that I'd have to really see in execution, I guess,
Yeah, kind
to
of.
form a more cohesive, like, stance on it.
I have heard
'Ca-
nothing good. It is I
Mm.
the messages they're trying to get across with what they're doing is it constantly contradictory to the point where I have seen long arguments about it of people. Some people are just sort of like, yeah, it's a little stupid, but also just roll with it. There is some logic behind it, and other people are like, no, this is fucking dumb as hell. Like none of this, like what kind of thing, and just it feels like a really botched and wrong arc to them. Um, as I have to keep reminding myself to be in terms of being fair, I haven't played it. Just everything I've heard has told me that it is the right call to just stop and just
In,
like
in a weird way, this conversation is actually convincing me to go back and just see where it goes,
fair
so I
enough.
could actually talk about it.
Fair enough. That is absolutely valid and probably more respectable than me just talking shit without having played it. Probably, he
Because
says, as if that is
I've
not like
I've long been into Fate and all of the different side material and side games and everything. So I have a lot of experience with the franchise and the properties and kind of the larger rules that govern it.
yeah.
So I'm interested to see if this is like Nasu kind of like punching his past self in the face for some reason, or like what's going on here. Because when you first said, "Oh, well, like, you're considered a monster," I was like, "Oh yeah, because of the lost boats we destroyed, right?" It's like because you used extra classes. I'm like, okay, well, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. And
We
also
literally we do.
like I'm
Yeah,
gonna be honest, the main problem that I would have with it is that the story didn't end.
yeah,
Like that was honestly something that I thought was what happened in 2.7. Was that, hey, you save the world and everything gets fixed, but also Alea is pissed at you, so you need to fix that so you can go back to the real world. I thought that's what it was, and it's not.
okay.
Part 2 does not end. It is not an ending.
Well, I think I'm gonna try to see if I can see it through, and it's just they lost me. It was Trom where I fell off,
Yeah,
like partway through it.
yeah,
Just it was partially me getting more into Honkai Star Rail and like Hoyoverse games,
yeah. Actual games, yeah.
because and it was also like I think the straw that broke the camel's back for me was spending 1,000 SQ and getting only one copy of Arcweed.
Mm,
And being like, you know what? If this was another game that I am playing right now, I would have gotten a lot more than just one for that same amount.
yeah.
Like I got the hard pity.
Yep.
That's the only one I got was the hard pity, which is 300 pulls.
Yep.
So the whole gotcha in that game is,
Yeah.
I've been ruined on it.
It's a
So,
relic. It's absolutely a relic of how things were done in the long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have. Would you like to know what I was thinking before I started P5X? When I was assuming that I would end up not liking it and would be able to uninstall it immediately after.
Yeah.
Like, for the entire week before, I was very secure in my understanding of myself and how I work when it comes to live service games. And that is, I can play one. That's it. Because you remember, I got back into Guardian Tales and played that for a bit and caught up with the story on that.
Yeah.
And then, after playing it for a few more days and just sort of constantly having it in the back of my mind because that's how that fucking game works, I just sort of realized, hey, I'm not having fun with this gacha game, and I would like to stop, please.
Yeah.
And, just went back to Zenless and have felt more mentally secure since. And just, that's fine. Just like maybe that's
I
part of just how that particular game works, because that is also a little bit of a relic in how that gameplay works. But like just sort of the mental stack that live service games put on you, there is definitely a tolerance limit. So maybe, probably even once I've caught up with P5X, I will be able to just do exactly what I'm doing with Zenless, which is log in once a day, do my dailies, and then not think about it for the rest of the day. That's fine.
Yeah. I think, like, in my case, I can juggle at most 2 at a time. Um, I like, for me, that's either I'm juggling HSR and Zenless, or I'm taking a break from Zenless and playing some Guardian Tales. But like my main one that I always go back to is Honkai Star Rail. That's the one I'm probably the most invested in. Just because the game really, like, I really vibe with a lot of the tone of it, and the just there's a lot of parts to it that I really like, that really like seem right for me. I actually just went back to Zenless after a while, because I've just not been into it for a bit, and I think that's partially because my mentality with gacha is like, it's something I want to do kind of quickly on the side a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And the like, so when I have to actively play and participate, I'm not always in the mood for that.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying the Phantom X though.
Yeah, Zenless has the lowest requirement for daily stuff. It has a bit of a thing for weekly stuff.
Yeah,
like once a week,
that's kind of where
you have to just sort of stop and play it for, depending on the event, maybe 2-3 hours.
I'm just like kind of falling behind on the story and everything, and then like I get like, here's like 8 different events in front of my face, and I get like, okay, all right.
I mean, that's what
Get
happens on Big
overwhelmed.
Patch. I mean, it's the 2.0 patch. Like, that was kind of inevitable. Like, that's...
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
get back to the topic at hand. I'm
It has a music
kind of-
mini game. Sorry, back to Persona.
Wait.
It has a rhythm game in it.
the is that the one with, is that the Bangbu contest
No,
thing?
Persona. Yeah.
Oh
You,
no.
You join the music club and they want you to play bass. You have never played bass before in your life. And
no.
you play all like, I think they've got like 12 songs from
Oh no.
from this game and Vanilla Persona 5. It's
Well,
really good,
I'll,
actually.
I
It's
guess
really good.
I guess I'll download it then. Man, music. Fine. I'll download it. Give it a shot.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I just love the idea of like, hey, literally first guy we ask, do you want to be in the band club? And you're like, yeah, okay. How much music experience do you have? None. Okay. Well, here's a bass guitar. It's just do your best, and we'll see what we can do. Okay. Okay, cool. And then they immediately start playing the fucking bass line from Life Has Changed. Just instantly.
Oh, well. Anything else?
I mean, we did kind of touch on Zenless, and that's hey, remember how we talked about mental stack? I really don't like it when games do that thing where, hey, real time hours and stuff, you have to pay attention to doing that stuff, and check it every now and again, and I don't like that. It's bad for mental strain of just like, hey, has that thing finished yet? I don't remember. I should check it. I should check it. Don't like it.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm pretty much done with that section of that game, and I hope they don't ever do anything more with it because it's awful. Yeah. Anything else? I've been getting commissions done, so that's neat. I have played
Nice.
like 5 minutes, well, not even 5 minutes, like a run of the new Hades update. It still plays like Hades. I feel like I'm really just gonna wait for the 1.0 patch and just wait for it to be finished.
Okay.
and start again and just play it from the beginning. I'm trying to think. I don't think I have anything else that is very worth talking. Yeah.
Okay.
Just kind of trying to get the writing done before I'm on break this week. Yeah, no, I'm not. But, the break will happen in the near future, hopefully. Yeah. So that's pretty much all I got.
Okay.
Patient, how you doing?
Yeah, Patient. How you doing?
Fuck you, Zero. You go last for once.
Sure.
I mean, I can be patient if Zero wants to go now.
No, you can go.
Well, I just beat Banjo-Tooie 100%, so that's nice. It felt a bit incomplete compared to the first game, but
You never
it was
played it before?
alright. No. I only played it on the NSO.
Yeah,
I wasn't completely blind.
I played the first one and then started the second one, and it did not grab me the same way the first one did. I don't know.
Yeah.
It felt a lot less focused, is how I felt about that one. Just kind of spread out in a way that did not feel fun.
Yeah. I mean, it was still fun, just not as good as the original. And I mean, that's the typical thing. I can't think of any sequel off the top of my head that completely improved on pretty much everything from the original except Kingdom Hearts 2.
There are arguments to be made.
It's definitely... Yeah. But in any case, though, the most common thing is for the sequel to pale in comparison to the original. But it's clear that they had more plans for this game, and maybe if they had been able to implement them all, it would have been better. I don't know.
Like, at the time, they were working on that and DK64. I think that might.
Yeah, I think so.
That might have been the timeline. Yeah.
DK64 remains one of my favorites. I know that it's a lot, but
yeah, that's a bold pick. Like, I don't vote you for it, but it is a bold pick.
Yeah. I don't know. Just
still with us, Patient?
Technical difficulties?
Maybe. Okay. I'm gonna. Well, yeah, he's just disconnected, but. Hello?
Me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So we got hear me now? Okay. And then it cut out again. So, oh boy. Been a while since we've had one of these.
Yeah.
Testing for patient to see whether he can hear us. Da 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 da.
Testing, test.
Oh, we hear something for a second. Okay. Yeah. Hit the clickety clack, everybody. Right. Okay. With zero.
Yeah.
See, this is what happens when I say that Zero has to go last. That the world decides to screw us.
Weird.
So, Zero. In the meantime, do you want to go?
I'll go, and we'll see if Patient can resolve the technical difficulties right now.
Yeah, the universe demands that Zero not go last, apparently. Fucking Christ. Just one time. One time. You almost always go first, and the one time I say, no, Zero goes last this time for once. It's like, no. Zero goes when he wants to go.
That's just how it is. Okay, so, kid things. I have been recently. I just watched the season 3 of Squid Games, which is the final season of Squid Games.
Okay.
They're probably gonna do a spin-off though. That's like an American.
Probably.
They hint at it in the show, and they're also talking about it in interviews.
Sure, why not? Like, I'm I know people really, really like that show. Or they did. I don't know how people feel about the new season. But I have had zero interest in watching it ever since I found out that the guy that made it was just like really, really into kaiji, but then also kind of missed the point of kaiji.
How do you mean?
uh,
What's kaiji? Also, can you hear me?
yes,
Yes.
yes. Um, so kaiji is a manga. I don't know whether it's still running. It has run for a really long time. Um, uh, it is a manga about gambling technically, but more realistically, it is about surviving an unfair system. So the protagonist is a down on his luck loser who is unemployed. It is the lost decade in Japan, which is when they had a massive economic crash after the 80s. So this dude is unemployed. He's drinking and gambling all day. And to get back at the rich and wealthy of society, he cuts off the hood ornaments of fancy cars. And then he finds out that his friend, who he co signed a loan for, has bailed and left him with the entire debt, which is a lot of money that will take him about 11 years to pay off. As a part of being told about this, he is also informed that there is a chance he can pay it all off in one single night if he wins big. And he gets invited to this game where the stakes are you can win a lot of money, but if you lose, you are going to be a debt slave working manual labor for a long time in a place that we will not tell you where you'll be going. And the game is rock, paper, scissors, where there are a limited number of rock, paper, and scissors that everyone in the game can play. Like, everyone gets handed out, like, I think it's 4 or 5 of each, and they have to figure out how to win against enough players that they can pay off their debts.
Yeah.
Or not even pay off their debts. If they get 3 wins, they get to escape. And that's it. But to pay off their debts, they need to win more than that. And the very first game, Kaiji loses big, and the rest of the entire series is desperately trying to find a way to survive in an unfair system like the real world. And that's what Kaiji is. And Squid Game is kind of that, only it doesn't really play into the it's just like regular it's just regular games, and it doesn't really have the survival aspect as much.
No, I would disagree with that actually.
Really? Okay.
Because Squid Games is created in the context of a South Korean culture that has a very high wealth disparity. And all of the characters in Squid Games are people who, because of the system, are in massive amounts of debt. Every single one of them. And they are all brought to the games with the promise of getting like 456 billion won, which is enough to solve any of their individual debts and set them up for life.
Yeah.
But upon entering it, they learned that these games are deadly, and the more people who die, the higher the money gets, and the bigger the share for each of them gets. So there's this incentive to be inhumane and unkind to people, to betray them, to shove them in front of you in these deadly games, because if they die, you get more money. And this entire time, while these games are happening, the wealthy elite are watching and betting on them like horses.
Yeah.
And the kind of core idea that Squid Games goes for is a question of, is humanity ultimately good? Can people be good, or are we all just kind of like fucked, basically? Is this the true nature of what people are like? Isn't it better just to push people down just so that you can stand up and survive and thrive? And that's kind of the issue that the show grapples with, because it's incredibly easy in a lot of situations to make your way through just by being the bigger asshole. and that's kind of what the thesis of it is. And
Okay.
so in Squid Game season 2, the winner of the first game, uh, who was comes back to the games to try to put an end to them once and for all, and try to stop the unfairness of it all. And season 3 is a very feels bad season.
Okay.
It's like I understand like they have this message and their theme that they're going for, but happy endings are very few and far between. And without getting into any spoilers, it just kind of makes me feel bad.
Yeah. Okay.
uh,
It. So from the way it sounds, season 2 is where it kind of loses what Kaiji was doing. Which it's a different story. It's a different thing. Doesn't have to follow what its inspiration did. That's fair. Perfectly fine. But it sounds like in season 3 it kind of went back to what Kaiji was doing.
yes,
Because
yeah,
the end of that whole rock paper scissors thing is Kaiji kind of staying exactly as screwed as he was. He escapes the idea of slavery, not even the idea, the actual, literal slavery, and saves one other dude who, unlike most of the other players, never tried to screw him at any point.
yeah,
And then in the second arc, it's a lot of the stuff that you were talking about with like, hey, they're betting on them like horses and stuff like that. And yeah, there is no real competition aspect to it. There is just you have to survive. And because of that, instead of trying to screw people, that was the first arc, it's Kaiji rallies everyone to try to survive and figure out ways that they can play this game and win.
yeah.
Kind of
That's
thing.
season 2 of Squid Games.
You just said they were trying to end the games.
That's what he was trying to get in there to save everybody and finally end the games once and for all. But yes, by winning with everybody or getting them to one aspect they introduce into Squid Game season 2 is after every game they go to a vote of where they should continue or stop the games.
Right. Yeah. No, Kaiji doesn't do anything like that. What I mean is, he's still screwed after the first arc. Goes into the second arc where everyone is still just desperate for money. In fact, the guy that he saved after the first one, he's in there in the second one. And the reason they're working together isn't to end the games or anything like that. It's just they're still exactly as desperate as they've always been, and no one escaped, and everything's still fucked. And they still just have to play along because what other choice do they have? They literally don't have another choice.
Yeah.
And that just kind of keeps going through the whole thing because the point isn't to end it. It isn't to have some heroic moment of we've fixed the problem, we've saved everything. No one has that delusion. It's just trying to survive in a system that is just meant to keep kicking you down and constantly falling to your worst, like, devils, I guess that's.
Yeah.
And
Cuz
it is bleak. And it, like I say, in season 3 of Squid Game, from what you're saying, it's just kind of.
yeah. Cuz season 2 goes like, "Oh yeah, maybe we can do this. Maybe we can win." Only to have them like kicked down again.
Yeah.
And that's how you get to season 3 where everybody's just forced now. They just have to go along with the system. And it's kind of still trying to touch upon that like that philosophy of are we still human when pushed to these extremes? And like the entire like there's a conversation in season 1 um in which the main character discusses with another character about if you see a man like a random homeless guy on the street and he's shivering in the cold, would you stop and help him or would you keep walking because it's not your problem? That's the sort of like that's just one of the things where it's like touching upon the nature of what humans are. Um, I think that for what it's trying to do, season 3 of Squid Games like kind of it makes a landing and thematically is appropriate with how it ends. But man, does it feel bad. So, yeah, there was that. I finished Expedition 33.
Cool. Don't talk about it.
I like
Like,
parrying.
yeah, okay, we can talk. We can talk about gameplay, and the gameplay sounds really cool, and I still want to play it. But
I'm
I'm
not
being
going to
careful
talk
with money.
about story. I'm not going to talk about story because, oh boy, there's an entire essay I could write that I'm not going to right now. And the game's still like, people are still experiencing it.
Hmm.
And um, there's a lot of stuff that I could spoil just in a few sentences. I'm not going to. And there's an entire philosophical sort of discussion that could be had about certain ethics and things that are discussed in the game. Um, very, very well done. Cinematography, soundtrack, everything's like top notch. Game is a masterpiece. And the gameplay itself um, is kind of. It is very easy in that game to make a ridiculously broken build that just kind of annihilates things, especially towards the end of the game. I didn't really go all in on that because I wanted to still be able to, have some amount of challenge and like actually like play the game. And
Hmm.
they put me in front of the hardest secret bosses that I think I've ever fought against. And they threw me in there with frickin' like, oh hey, here's the Millennia Elden Ring moment of this character who's going to destroy you if you don't know how to parry. Because although it's a turn-based game, you have to dodge or parry every attack if you want to not get hit. And this boss comes in with not only will they like pretty much one-shot you with any attack, like you can survive, but it's rough. They nullify the usage of using shields in combat. If your character's dead for long enough for them to have a turn, they will instantly remove them from the battle, so they cannot be revived. You've just lost that character for this battle, and it's rough. It's 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 rough. Like the boss has three phases. The way that most people tend to beat this boss is to do enough damage in one huge burst to skip phase three. Um, Really fun game. I really enjoyed my time with it. Um, the music now makes me cry, and I highly recommend it. Just flat out, it's a fantastic game. And for people who don't really like traditional RPGs and like to be able to, actually feel like you're doing something with like dodging and parrying and stuff, this is a fantastic recommendation
Hmm.
because I felt like I was, actually like being an active participant in the combat. That's one thing I don't like about a lot of RPGs, and it's one reason why I actually like Honkai Star Rail is that I can use the ultimates at any time in the turn order, so I can interrupt attacks to use ultimates and stuff, and that I have that ability to like interact and react to things happening rather than just wait until it's my turn again.
Which, to my understanding, you can still play it like as a turn-based RPG, just ordinary, and just take hits, and you can tailor the game to play in that way and still be playable. Or you can go all in on learning parry and dodge windows and all that stuff, and tailor it more in that direction of like getting rid of hit point systems. And I literally listened to Wooly talk about this earlier of the Wooly versus podcast.
Yeah,
And like instead of hit points, it's just like hits, like
yeah,
a certain number of hits will finish you instead of a hit point counter.
yeah. Those are the shields.
Yeah.
So like, you can do that. There's like an entire way you can set it up so that you just take less damage um, in general, but you can't parry. So if you just don't want to parry, like,
Yeah, so that just
fine,
turns it
do
into a
that.
regular turn-based RPG.
Yeah. Um, but it's way more like satisfying to pull off the parry because if you parry all the attacks, you get a full counter, and if they attack your entire party, then you get the big on-screen Expedition 33 performs a counter, and
Mm.
all of your characters do that cool attack, and it feels really good, and it deals a ton of damage. Um, but the parry window can be tight sometimes. The dodge window is much more generous. It's just you only get the counters if you do the parry, and the parries are cool, so I want to do the parries. But the game like encourages you. do dodges until you can learn the timing, and if you do a perfect dodge, that would have been a parry, basically.
Hmm.
So if you dodge and it says, "Oh, dodge," well, your timing was off. If you dodge and it says perfect, then that means that you now
If
know
you
the
hit a
parry
different
timing.
button, then you would have done something cool. So maybe
Yes.
think about doing something cool next time.
So the game lets you literally like learn the parry timing just by dodging first and being like, "Oh, okay, okay, I got it now. I know the timing," which is a really good way to use its systems.
Yeah.
I love all the party members. They're all really good. Especially the character that's just a blue mage. They use monster skills and abilities, and it's really fun. Um, yeah, it's a gorgeous, great RPG that took me like 40 hours to beat. Um, and that was me going for like super bosses and other optional things first before going for that final confrontation.
Hmm.
Because the game literally just says, like, on screen at one point, like, "Oh, hey, yeah, no, this is the final thing." You're like, "Okay, cool."
Hmm.
Then I'm just not going to go there right now. Yeah. Um, Big recommendation for that. And also, yeah, I think that's like those are the two big things I really wanted to talk about. Everything else is just, you know, I'm living, I'm breathing. It's summer, it's hot. Uh,
It is.
I'm helping to look after my baby nephew who is so cute.
Yeah.
He's so, he's like a year and a half now, and like he loves being picked up by me now because I'll lift him up high or I'll like swing him around and he likes that. And yeah, um, life's pretty chill right now. You okay?
Yeah. That's what I was trying to say. So,
Patient.
patient, now that the universe has been satisfied by allowing Zero to go not last, you were talking about, well, it was Banjo Tooie, and then we moved on to something else, I believe.
Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah, we were talking about Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah, I was just saying that was a game that I can't even blame childhood nostalgia completely because these days I would still go back to that game in a heartbeat and play through all of it 100% and love almost every moment of it. There are still a couple of races in the game that I am not fond of. But overall, I still love the game. Of course, considering that was the first Donkey Kong game I played, it did sort of color my expectations when I got into the more typical Donkey Kong Country style when I played others. So that was interesting. Didn't know what I was getting into when I bought Tropical Freeze.
I have not played that one, so I don't really know.
Well, it's in the style of any other Donkey Kong Country game. 2D side-scroller platformer instead of 3D collectathon. Donkey Kong 64 is not a good example of what Donkey Kong games are usually like. Is all I was saying.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. Let's see, what else? Oh, yeah. A very close friend of mine introduced me to this the other day.
Oh god, yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Long,
Long,
long
long.
man.
We love Long Long Man in this household.
Yeah, it's good. It's good shit.
I had been acquainted with Japanese commercials and how nutty they tend to be. I was familiar with that. I hadn't heard of this one.
You were prepared for how long the Long Long Man was.
I had an arc.
I wasn't.
It had an arc. It was a long, long arc.
Yes. That it was. That aside, not a whole lot has been going on. This.
Can I just interrupt for a second?
I believe you just did.
Yeah, I've gotten those fucking snack boxes that you get, the mail order ones from like the Tokyo Treat, I think it's called. I've gotten
Box
Japan
soup.
Crate back in the day. No, it's Tokyo Treat. And not a single time, not a single time have I gotten anything from Sakura Gummy. And I am mad about that now that I think about it.
Well, I would be too.
You should order some.
Oh dear.
Can't we trade, like, every single time it's a bag of those tiny Kit Kats, and that's, like, fine, but you always send us the fucking matcha ones. But could we, like, once just replace it with just a whole fucking bag of Sakura Gummy, please? Just once.
That would
See,
indeed be nice.
that is proof that is a good ad, because I remember the fucking brand name. Even though everyone knows Long Long Man, I know that brand.
I mean,
Yeah.
the name is pretty memorable if you know the word Sakura.
Yeah.
Though it makes me hope that they have cherry-flavored gummies.
What flavor even is Sakura? Like, I'm assuming strawberry because it's pink. That might be wrong.
Look at the wrapping. It's grape.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. Don't expect it with it being pink like that, but yeah, it's...
Purple is a very
Or-
like Western understanding of what grape should be. Like, I don't even know why like grape is green. Grape, well, there are red grapes as well, but you know, the purple grapes aren't really a thing. Mostly.
Yeah.
Weird.
Depends.
It's like raspberry being blue. Like, why?
I mean, I hear people call it blue raspberry. I know that raspberry is red.
I literally have a bag of frozen raspberries in the freezer. They're bloody red. Like,
I love blue raspberry flavor because it's the flavor of the color blue to me.
yeah. That's that's. God, branding has poisoned our brains, man.
Yeah.
Aside from that, I've this coming week, we have a new teller starting at my place of work again. Let's hope this one lasts longer than the last one.
Well, however long they last, that is as long as you get a reprieve from being the only asshole on the tills. So that's a plus.
Yeah.
Also, I apologize for implicitly calling you an asshole there. I didn't really mean that.
Yeah, I was wondering about that, friend of mine. That didn't seem... Is there something you haven't been telling me yet? Do I need to be worried about thoughts that you might be thinking of me when we're not
You're
talking?
Cool. You're cool. You're cool. It was me casually referring to you in just I. You know, it's that thing. It's just my friend. He's an asshole. He's great. I love him.
It's okay. It's okay.
So I'm glad to not be alone for however long that lasts. This one seems a bit more promising than the last one. I got to meet him this week because his branch's air conditioning died one day and they had to fix it. So, not gonna make someone in Texas in the middle of the summer work in a place with no air conditioning indoors.
Yeah, generally it's bad policy to cook your employees. That's not should be avoided as best you can.
Yep. Yeah.
And your customers as well. To be perfectly honest, I mean, if you're having people come in, air conditioning, it's also bad.
That's probably why they care. Honestly. Can you tell that I have a low opinion of this job?
It's a little bit cynical. It's a little bit, but you know, I understand.
Anyway, I get paid this week and I get Friday off, so that'll be nice.
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 Anything else going on? Not really. Just more of the same, largely. Made it to the gym twice this week. Last week it was only once, so I'm getting a bit back on track. It's still hard to motivate myself, but
I'm going to be honest, I've been slacking
I'm
as
still
well, and I really need to fix it. So
Yeah, me too.
we're in the same boat on that one. Let's fucking focus and get back on it together.
yeah. I'll keep trying. See if I can make it 3 times this coming week. I'll try.
Yeah,
I'll try.
we work on it.
Yeah. Not much else to say, though. Nearing the completion of the next chapter of one of the stories I'm working on, and, well, honestly, I think that's about it.
Right. Well, that's everybody. I just want to call out one more thing about Persona 5X. I really appreciate how dedicated they've been, at least in the first palace. I haven't really gotten that far into the second, as I mentioned before, to creating challenging fights. Because, like, you've got your regular fights that you go through the thing and it's fine. But they have these boss fights just sort of scattered about, mini bosses kind of. Like, in Royal, you had the special secret mini boss in each palace that was just guarding one of those
Will seeds?
yes, those, and it had an interesting mechanic to it usually.
Yep.
There are like 15 of those in each palace.
Goodness.
And then a bunch in Mementos, each area of Mementos, and they are all really interesting puzzles for how to like just overcome them. Because I didn't get into the combat mechanics very deeply because I didn't know how to talk about it. They've done some interesting stuff in enemies still have weaknesses and all that stuff, but stronger enemies will have a shield effectively. So you have to hit them the number of times with their weakness to get rid of that shield before you can down them. And the baton pass is a mechanic in the game.
Oh.
But what the baton pass does is, if you hit a shielded enemy with their weakness, you can't baton pass. You have to down them explicitly. And every time you baton pass, you don't get to choose what the character you're passing to gets to do. They have a set attack that is their element, and they will do that attack, which will hit one enemy.
Interesting.
So, say for example, you've got 2 enemies with the same weakness, but they both have 1 layer of shield. So you have your character hit one of them with the weakness, and that's fine, but it doesn't down anyone, and it moves on to the next. And then the next character you have that has that attack, that element to hit the weakness, you can do a multi-hit, and that will down the first enemy that already lost the shield. It will break the shield of the other one, and then you can baton pass to the first character again to take down the other one. And it's that sort of mechanic, and also just utilizing all the various different like ailments and stuff like that, or they will have a very specific thing that they will like. There's this Matador Shadow in Mementos that has this thing where if he will perform a technique at the beginning of his turn every turn that lets him dodge 2 different types of attacks. So attack, gun, or skill, right? And he'll block 2 of those for that turn. And you have to spend that turn only doing the one that he isn't explicitly dodging. And if you don't hit him enough times, he'll do a super move on you. So, considering the fact that he's still hitting you really fucking hard every turn regardless, and you've got, like, only so much ammo for the guns, it's an interesting sort of, like, puzzle, and just sort of managing to hold out enough while you're taking a bunch of damage, and you've still got to hit him enough times, and you're constantly getting closer and closer to running out of bullets. It's, like, all just really neat and interesting ideas like that they've put into these like mini boss fights that I really appreciate. They they are far more engaging and interesting than the actual boss fights are. I'll say that much. But it's really cool. Like, there is a lot of thought put into like just about every single aspect of this game, and I really appreciate it. I wanted to call that out because I didn't know how to talk about it at the beginning, just off the cuff. So, very well thought out.
Fandom Flux podcast where we talk at length on things that we are passionate about.
Yeah, I mean that's it's in the name.
Mm-hmm.
Did no one realize that the name of the podcast is Fandom?
Yeah, I know.
450 episodes. Anyway.
Don't you know that nobody reads these days?
I do know that. What am I talking about? People pay me to write. Of course people do.
Yeah.
So it's the end of June, so we don't have to do Patreon. So I guess that's an episode.
I'm gonna go pick up some candy from the store because I can, and I'm an adult.
Yeah, it's true. You can do that. They probably won't have Sakura Gummy though, so you're gonna be disappointed.
Yeah.
So Discord and Patreon links in the description. Bye everybody.
Until next time.
Rabbits.
How dare you?